now, we've seen many walls come tumbling down around the world this year. We're meeting whole countries of new friends. With the walls down, we can see what we all have in common. Our planet. Earth Day. It has to start with the idea that we should take care of this planet and continue by telling others what they can do to help. Make no mistake, this is a fight. Many leading scientists today caution it is entirely possible that within just a few years, we could destroy life support systems like the ozone layer that protect us from radiation, or the Earth's rainforests that hold over half of all living species, or the oceans and the coastlines of the world. We all have a stake here. If we make the environment sick, it's going to make us sick. We are here today for our planet's health, for our health, for our children's health. We must demand changes of ourselves first. It starts in our own front yard. Do you recycle? All right. But if not, start. Learn how. Demand your city does. Do you buy with an eye to environmentally sound products? All right. Well, if you don't, start. Have you planted a tree? Do it! Because enough people like you refuse to buy tuna, a major company just announced that they will no longer permit killing dolphins to catch tuna. We will have dolphin-safe tuna. We should commend StarKist for this. You can change things. We must change things. We must pressure and demand our political leaders employ sensible environmental policies. We have unemployed. We have homeless people. We have people who do not go into the military service or are leaving the military because there's more peace in the world. How about a civilian environmental corps? Our future is our children's future. Our children's children's future. They're crying out. We cannot let them down. I don't want to be the one to have to tell my child, well, we just didn't get around to it, hon. We should let them help, each in their own way. We must fight. We must win this fight. We will win this fight. Thank you very much. Our next speaker, they're taking the podium. Hold on. Our next speaker is one of the environment's most outspoken advocates in Congress. A week from now, he will lead a U.S. delegation and will chair the Interparliamentary Conference on the Environment. At the conference, lawmakers from all over the world will explore environmental issues from a global perspective. Please welcome Senator Al Gore.
Thank you. Great job. Good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Earth Day 1990 marks a new beginning. It also marks the emergence of a new world. Nelson Mandela is free. Communism is collapsing. The Cold War is over. All over the world, men and women are looking to the future and singing, "We shall overcome," believing in their hearts the future can be what we want it to be. It is time for the United States of America to play its historic and destined role to provide leadership in this new world. The central organizing principle of the post-Cold War world will be a global effort to save the environment. We don't need a strategic defense initiative, we need a strategic environment initiative. It's not just global warming or the loss of the ozone layer, the destruction of the rainforests, or the loss of living species. It is a deeper underlying problem. There is a collision between industrial civilization as it is presently organized and the ecological system which supports life as we know it on this planet. Each one of us must accept responsibility individually and then get involved in political action to change the laws and the policies and the programs to make a difference. My Bible tells me we're given dominion over the earth, but we're required to be good stewards of the earth. We are part of the web of life. We must address the underlying problems. Above all, we must understand the basis for hope and optimism. Someone said the other day, we see the problem, but when you look at how much needs to be done to solve the problem, it just looks unlikely to occur. I said, wait a minute. What if someone had asked you 6 months ago, how likely is it that in the next 90 days, every single country in Eastern Europe will abandon communism, people singing, "We shall overcome," embracing democracy and freedom? Would you have said that was unlikely? And he said, yes. That happened because people changed the way they thought. And what Earth Day today is all about is people changing the way they think about the environment. The obstacles in our path may seem immovable, but so did the Berlin Wall. Let us leave this place committed to act, and let us take comfort in the certain knowledge that we shall overcome. Thank you.
Hello again. I have the pleasure right now to introduce a very special man. The National Wildlife Federation is the largest environmental organization in the country and the co-sponsors of this spectacular Earth Day rally. This man's name is Jay Hare. And he has been its president since 1981, and wildlife, all life on this planet, could not have a better friend. Here's just one example. Within a day of the Exxon Valdez disaster, Jay was in Alaska assessing the damage. helping direct the cleanup. He and the environment have a very special relationship. His daughter's life was saved by a medicine that can only be found in the Brazilian rainforest. Please welcome Jay Hare.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Tom Cruise, and thank you, Senator Al Gore, for your leadership, and thank you, John Denver, for your spectacular music and the inspiration you give all of our lives. The National Wildlife Federation is honored and privileged to co-sponsor this special Earth Day event here in Washington, D.C. It's been a real treat over the last year to work with the Earth Day 1990 organization, Dennis Hayes, Chris Desser, and all of those who made this event and events like this around the world so successful. As someone who has committed their life to environmental advocacy, I want you to know that I come to this event today with a number of emotions. I have the emotions of joy, the emotion of sadness, and the emotion of real anger. I have joy in knowing that there are people like us who are finally willing to step forward and make a difference. People who are willing to commit their lives to real change to save the environment. I have sadness in knowing that since Earth Day 1970, we have destroyed this Earth's environment in 20 years in a way that it has never been destroyed ever before in the history of humankind. I have real sadness in knowing that as we have tried to achieve consensus and compromise through legislation, consensus and compromise, my friends, is killing our world. We need a harder line. We need to move to a new place. And I have real anger. Anger knowing that there are those who will still mislead the public and that our environmental problems are not very serious, that environmentalists are elitist, alarmist, and anti-progress, that somehow the lack of inaction, somehow the lack of appropriate government involvement are solutions. That's pure folly. And those that follow that line of reasoning are fools. But you know, my bottom line is this. I come to this occasion today with a real sense of hope. 4 lines from one of my favorite songs goes as follows. The hope of the world is in the eyes of a child. And when you look in those eyes, what do you see? Is there freedom from hunger? Is there the freedom to be free? Clearly there's not much hope when we know around the world today there are 800 million people living in lives that are degraded by malnutrition and squalor and poverty. There's no hope knowing that on this Earth Day, 100,000 people around the world will starve to death, 40,000 of them children. There's no hope in minorities and poor communities throughout this nation, people who have for decades suffered the abuse of environmental degradation. But there is real hope in the idea of the freedom to be free. That's an expression of why we're here today, the freedom to be free. As I stand here looking all the way down the Washington Mall, I see the Lincoln Memorial, a tribute to the life of our 16th president. Abraham Lincoln said, "My dream is of a place and time when America will once again be seen as the last best hope on earth." I suspect that if President Lincoln could be here today, he would say, yes, much progress has been made to the fulfillment of that dream, but progress is an illusion when it destroys the very basis on which life on earth is dependent. And that we must dream new dreams, for these clearly are the most dangerous times of humankind's existence ever on earth. I believe, and I sincerely believe this as a scientist, as an educator, as an environmental advocate, that we have between 10 to 15 years to make the fundamental changes in our society if the global life support systems are going to be on functioning basis 100 years from now. But just as this is the most dangerous time, it's also, in my view, the most exciting time. We're seeing the sunset of what I would call convenient conservationism. We're seeing the sunrise of what I would call committed environmentalism. We are literally sitting here today on the dawn of an environmental renaissance. We are beginning an era of envirostroika, when the walls of ignorance, greed, and apathy must come tumbling down, and in their place we build a vision of hope, environmental justice, and an environmentally sustainable future. The 1990s, in my view, will clearly be represented by that era committed to protecting and saving our environment. I predict that we will have across this nation and around the world a social movement that will exceed in the terms of its impact the civil rights movement or the pro-democracy movement in Europe. Because fundamental to those movements is the movement for environmental justice, because you can never enjoy any of our human rights unless you enjoy them in the context of a healthy environment. I predict that the 1990s will be socially disruptive. They will be violent. They will be massively supported by the public, and it's time to take our message to every street corner in America. It may be time for us to go back to the streets. But what we need more than anything is a new way of thinking. We need new leadership, not political chameleons who turn their color green for a day like today. We need new people who, from every walk of life, who will step forward and make a commitment to lead on behalf of the environment. People who are committed to our values, committed to environmental justice, committed to an environmentally sustainable future. Here in Washington, I thought that it would be a time and an important opportunity to call for a new definition of patriotism. We Americans have always valued patriotism. From Paul Revere to Pearl Harbor to Panmunjom, Korea to Pleiku, Vietnam to the Peace Corps, American patriots have always served their country. Those who have lived and died for the cause of liberty and freedom. Those who have always met the challenge, no matter how difficult, no matter the cost. We need new patriotism. We need to move away from the mentality of the Cold War, characterized by nuclear warheads, cruise missiles, Trident submarines, and lasers in heaven. We need a new patriotism that focuses on the only national security issue of any importance anywhere in the world today, and that's global environmental protection. Because the only war worth fighting is the battle to save the earth. And let me close with the wisdom of a 20th century philosopher named Tryon Edwards, who said, "Hell is truth seen too late, duty neglected in its season." My friends, it is our season. It has finally arrived. It is our time. We are the protectors of the present. We are the stewards for the future. We dare not fail to do our duty. We must create a dream worth living. We must create a dream worth remembering. We must create and live a dream of a world at peace with ourselves and with our environment, where the quality of our lives is measured more by the quality of our environment than the quantity of our gross national product. And what I would like to ask you as I wind up today is to really commit yourself to leave this place with a new inspired vision for what you as an individual can do. I would like to have you commit yourself to take the Earth Day pledge. And remember this: Earth Day every day, you can make a world of difference. Earth Day every day, working together, we can make a different world. Thank you, and God bless you. Thank you. Thank you.
this down a little bit. Well, I just heard from the park police that there are 350,000 people here in D.C. today for this. So congratulations to you. All right. All right. This historic day that is unfolding in towns and cities all over the world has been 20 years in the making. 20 years since the first Earth Day, which Dennis Hayes helped organize. 20 million people took part in the largest planned demonstration in history, a mere 20 million. Today we mark a decade of change for our environment. Who knows how many millions are participating today? All of us will go forward from today renewed in our determination to have a better environment. All of us owe thanks to the vision and determination of Dennis Hayes. Please welcome him.
Welcome to the first day of a green future. Let the historians record that on Earth Day 1990, the people heard the cry of the earth and came to heal her. 200 million people in 141 countries, from the shanty towns of Lima, Peru, to the polluted lakes of Leningrad, from Antarctica to Iceland to the top of Mount Everest, from the very small town of Earth, Texas, to Central Park in Manhattan. We hear the cry of the earth, and we have come to heal her. We hear the earth cry as her rainforests are shredded and her species are lost. We hear the earth cry when our chemicals rip a gaping hole in her fragile ozone layer. We hear the earth cry from the Exxon Valdez, from Chernobyl, from Bhopal, from Love Canal. We hear the cry of the earth. Now let our leaders hear the cry of the people. After me, save the earth! Save the earth! Together, save the earth! After a dozen years of labor, Congress is about to deliver a Clean Air Act, and it's a dud. What are we really talking about here? Breathing. There is no more fundamental right than the right to breathe free. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Breathing isn't a matter of choice. Breathing is a right. When a 20-year-old non-smoker in Los Angeles has the lungs of a 40-year-old smoker, her fundamental rights have been violated. There's no non-smoking section for air pollution. You are either a polluter, or you are a polluted. For 20 years now, the polluters have been telling the polluted how complicated it is to control toxic and hazardous emissions, and they are right. The time has come to simplify things. Let's have a simple goal: 0 emissions of toxic effluents. We hear the cry of the earth and have come to heal her. We spend our money, our sweat, and our scientific genius on the wrong problems. Every year, the world spends $1 trillion on war and preparations for war. We spend countless billions on an air force, but we don't protect our air. We spend countless billions on a navy, but we don't protect our water. We spend countless billions on an army, but we don't protect our land. With the new openness in Eastern Europe, we face an unprecedented opportunity to rechannel our resources into building a safe, sustainable future. Instead, we continue to spend our money on warheads. We must move beyond the arms race. The real race is the race with time. We've been breaking a lot of little laws for many years. Today, the big laws are starting to catch up with us. We hear the cry of the earth, and we have come to heal her. 20 years ago, on Earth Day 1970, I delivered the following lines on this mall in Washington, D.C. Industry has turned the environmental problem over to its public relations departments. We've been deluged with full-page ads. It would appear that things are already fine and will soon be perfect. But the people of America are still coughing, and our eyes are running, and our lungs are blackening, and our property is corroding, and we're getting angry. We're getting angry at the lies, angry at the half-truths, angry at the pages devoted to nonsense. The lies, though, of 1970 seem pale compared to the lies of 1990. 20 years ago, Earth Day was a protest movement. We no longer have the time to protest because protest implies failure. Now is the time to win. And to win, we must fight. We will fight for our air. We will fight for our water. We will fight for the land. We will fight for our children. We will fight for the earth. We hear the cry of the earth, and we have come to heal her. But to heal her, we must also heal ourselves. There are no boundaries between ourselves and our environment. We eat our environment, we drink it, we breathe it. The earth flows through us as well as around us. To treat ourselves with respect, we must treat the earth with respect. In recent months, I've been asked 1,000 times, what is it that we are to do? The answer is to look inside yourself for your own moral compass and to follow it. Don't let others define what you are. Don't let advertisers mold you. Don't let zealots ensnare you. Don't let the conventional wisdom trap you. Look deep inside and see what's right. Remember that you are something far larger. Go out tonight. Look at the stars. Remember the 4,000-year-old bristlecone pines. Be mindful of the silent cathedral-like mood of the canopy of the ancient forests. Weigh the elegiac verses of the humpbacked whales. Make your choices mindful of the poor in this country and the destitute of the world, and you will know in your soul what's right. Let historians record that on Earth Day 1990, we are closing the book on a decade of unparalleled greed and sleaze and hypocrisy, and we are opening the book on a new decade, a green decade, a decade rich with promise of a safe, just, peaceful, sustainable planet. On Earth Day 1990, we hear the voice of the planet, and we demand that she be healed.
Hey. The next speaker, when he was in the Senate, he introduced the first legislation to mandate fuel efficiency standard for cars, control strip mining, ban the use of DDT, ban the use of Agent Orange, ban the use of phosphates in detergents. But Gaylord Nelson will always be remembered for an idea he had 20 years ago. He understood that to move legislation, you had to move the people. He wanted to create action from the ground up. Create a day when everyone's attention would be focused on just one thing: the environment. That day was Earth Day 1970. It's a great honor to introduce the father of Earth Day and this Earth Day's honorary co-chairman, Gaylord Nelson.
In just a moment, I'm going to introduce a rare American original, Congressman Mo Udall from Arizona. There have been many members of Congress who have made important contributions to the protection of America's natural resources. But very few, if any, match the stature or commitment of the man we honor today. For 30 years, his dedication to conservation issues and his vision for this nation's public lands have set the standard for generations to come. Morris K. Udall is an American original. With brilliance and wit as his weapons, Mo Udall has fought each and every day for America's environment. His achievements are legend to his colleagues in the Congress and the people of Arizona and should be remembered by all Americans. Mo Udall's fingerprints can be found on some of the most important and valuable environmental laws ever enacted by the United States Congress. He led the fight for the passage of the Alaska Lands Act in 1980, a measure that doubled the size of America's national park system and hailed as one of the most important conservation bills in the history of this century. He wrote the landmark 1977 Strip Mining Reclamation Act. And this year, Congress will pass, and the President should sign, Mo Udall's Arizona Wilderness Bill, which will add more than 1 million acres to the federal wilderness system. This award honors a man of the earth and for the earth. To Mo Udall, every day is Earth Day. His leadership is unsurpassed in concern for the environment. No other member of Congress serving today has done more for our environment and our public lands than Mo Udall. When the idea for this award came up, there was no question who should receive it. There was no debate and no dissent. The committee was unanimous for Morris K. Udall for his spectacular record of achievement in the field of environmental protection and for his continuing fight to preserve America's natural treasures for future generations. We present Congressman Udall with this token of our appreciation. This award symbolizes the call for a worldwide commitment to protect our planet. The award is the work of Texas sculptor and environmentalist Forrest E. Gist.
Want me to take that for you? There we go.
Thanks, Gaylord. One of my favorite people in all of the federal, state, local government in America. A few more men like this and we'd have no conservation program to worry about. I'm I guess you're supposed to leave a couple of thoughts and get out so you can enjoy the music. But I just wanted to say that this award comes to me with particular satisfaction because it follows the principle of Gaylord Nelson. Now, one of the bases of this award is that everybody wins when you win in conservation. Everybody can help. There's no reason why we can't get the job done. A great orator of the last century said in a situation like we see so often, where one person can't make a difference. So why should Senator Nelson fight to get a Earth Day started 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years. And this famous orator said, "I am only one, but I am one. I cannot do everything, but I can do something. And what I do, with the grace of God, I will do." Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mo, for all you've done for our country. 20 years ago, when I founded Earth Day, I had no notion that I would be back here 20 years later talking to this wonderful audience. Let me congratulate you on your concern and your interest. You are the generation who's going to have to resolve this problem. I was requested to say something about the history and the purpose I had in mind when I organized Earth Day in 1969, in 1970. For many, many years, I had been concerned that the political establishment was paying no attention to this important issue. And somewhere about in 1962, I thought of an idea for getting this issue into the political arena, into the political dialogue of the country, where it had to be if we were going to do anything significant about the issue. So I proposed to President Kennedy that he do a nationwide conservation tour. And he decided, because if the president did it, the country would pay attention, we'd finally get people to addressing the serious environmental questions that we face. So in 1963, the president started his conservation tour. Senator Hubert Humphrey of Minnesota, Senator Gene McCarthy, and I went to the White House, got in a helicopter, flew to Andrews Air Force Base, and began the conservation tour. The president spoke in Ashland, Wisconsin, Duluth, Minnesota, Wyoming, Jackson Hole, and then went to Salt Lake City. And while there, he made some remark about foreign policy that grabbed the headlines all over the country. That was the end of the conservation tour. Nobody around him understood the issue or cared very much. So it didn't achieve what I had hoped. 6 years later, I was speaking out in California, and I thought of the idea of Earth Day because I wanted a major demonstration all over this country to get the attention of the politicians. We did get their attention. Now you're here today making your wonderful concern explicit to the politicians of the country and the leadership in the private sector. Now let me finish by saying one more thing. We've got to raise a conservation generation. You have to be that generation to lead us on into the future. Now, I don't want to come back here 20 years from now on the 40th anniversary of Earth Day, limping along when I'll be 94 years old, and have to tell your sons and daughters you didn't do your duty. You didn't become the conservation generation. Well, I'm confident you will do your duty, you will be the conservation generation, and you will make the difference. Thank you very much.
It's hot, isn't it? But boy, I tell you, if we don't do anything about it, it's gonna get a hell of a lot hotter, isn't it? The next speaker, 19 years ago today, John Kerry led 5,000 fellow Vietnam veterans on a march in this city to protest the war. 20 years ago, John Kerry participated in the original Earth Day. He's a 20-year veteran of the battle for political change, and today he continues his battle to protect our environment. Please welcome him.
Thank you, Tom. As Tom said, 20 years ago, we came here to try to save the environment. And the fact is that for 10 years, we did make some progress. We passed the Environmental Protection Agency, the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, the Superfund. We began to research solar energy, alternative fuels, and by the end of the 1970s, we were the world's leader in those fields. Then came the presidency of Ronald Reagan, a man who believed that trees pollute. And with that presidency, we were given James Watt as the Secretary of Interior, Rita Laval, Ann Gorsuch, and people who were more willing to protect the polluter than protect the environment. So today we come back in 1990. We come back to recommit and to re-energize and to rededicate ourselves to the proposition that we must never again allow those who can make a difference to walk away from their responsibility. We must come back with a commitment that we will fight on two fronts. One, on the personal front, the decisions that we will make as individuals about how we will live our lives, about the products that we will buy, the cars we drive, the food we eat, and about the people that we will vote for. And the second front will grow out of that first front, and that is the process by which we will create a large movement that will hold corporations and governments and the process accountable. Amidst the extraordinary beauty of this day, there is a dark side that drives us on with a sense of urgency. 100,000 of our fellow citizens who die each year prematurely because of air pollution. 30,000 miles of monofilament drift net that are put out into the ocean every single night in the Northwest Pacific that literally strip mine that ocean. An ozone hole the size of North America, and signs of disturbance over the Arctic now similar to what preceded the Antarctic. Global warming, a population that will double within the next 20 or 30 years, and a population that grows by the billions, not in the 130 years it took a few years ago, but now by the tens of years. So today we have come together, not just in Washington, D.C., but all across this planet, 136 plus nations, millions of voices reaching out to talk to each other and to remind each other of our obligation, to remind each other that we can make a difference, each and every one of us. And what is significant about every one of the environmental problems that we face is the fact that we created them. They are person-made problems, and therefore they are person-solvable problems if we will only create the political will to do so. The fact that 136 nations have transformed the Earth Day of 1970, that was a uniquely American event, into a global event is significant. Think how far ahead of where we were that puts us. In the 1960s, Rosa Parks decided not to sit in the back of a bus, and alone she ignited a movement. 10 years ago, Lech Walesa, an unemployed electrician, jumped over a fence. And with that commitment and decision, he ignited a process that millions are trying to follow today. Gaylord Nelson wrote a letter suggesting an Earth Day. Dennis Hayes read that letter and dropped out of the Harvard Law School in order to commit his life and energy, and they made a difference. The fact is that each and every one of us have now got to confront the choice of making that difference. We can change history, but to do so, we must change the way we do business politically and economically. No longer can we be submitted to public relations blitzes that are long on rhetoric and short on substance. No longer can we fight the government in order to get them to protect the environment. The government should fight the polluters to protect the environment for us. No longer should we have to plead with the President and Attorney General to heed the law. The Attorney General and the President should plead in court on our behalf to enforce the law. And finally, we must make certain that Earth Day and what is happening in this building behind me and in state houses across the country is not mere talk. The President promised to do something about Boston Harbor. It was a wonderful TV backdrop, but he didn't provide any money to clean up Boston Harbor. Just talk. The President said he was going to give us clean air, but during the negotiations on the Clean Air Bill, most of what we got was hot air, as they pulled the guts away from the enforcement measures. More talk. The President promised us wait and see what we do with the White House effect to cure the greenhouse effect, and that's a promise he kept. We're still waiting to see while we get the negative effect of nothing happening. The President promised us a global warming conference a year and a half ago. Finally, it was held, and they banned the use of the word warming and decided they couldn't take any action because of scientific uncertainty. Through all of this and more, this President has told us something with scientific certainty. He is not yet the environmental president. We're here today and across this country to suggest that we must end the craziness of asking, how do we clean up this mess? When the question is, how do we prevent the mess from being made in the first place? We should end the process by which we spend billions of dollars to undo damage that could have been prevented by the spending of far less sums of money. All of this is obvious, it's simple, but getting there is not. So we must become the members of a new environmental army, the first army to wage peace on the planet. We must become citizen soldiers who are willing to place our bodies on the line to stop corporations from doing what they shouldn't do and to hold government accountable to doing what it should do. We must be willing, unlike any other soldiers in history, to turn our backs on the process of regaining land that has been lost by not using airplanes and bombs and guns and tanks, but rather using our ability to think and to choose and to commit to principles. And if we do that, the total of those actions and the total of that commitment will guarantee us not only that every day is Earth Day, but that we are not the first generation in history to pass this globe on in worse shape than we found it. Thank you all.
What? Let me bring this down again. I just wanted to introduce you to a pretty amazing guy. He's a good friend of mine. His name is Tom Lovejoy. And he made us all aware of the tropical rainforest. He has worked in the Amazon rainforest in Brazil since 1965 when he was still a student. He's essentially created a new field of science, conservation biology. But his real area of expertise is the Earth itself. Tom Lovejoy originated the idea of swapping international debt for conservation products. 4 such swaps have already been initiated. Tom's genius is his ability to take the complex and make it understandable. He created the longest-running series on public television, Nature. Just please say a quick hello to my good buddy who I affectionately call Indiana Jones. All right. We're just going to go for a short break, so just relax, and we're going to have some very hot music coming up in a few minutes. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here.
Hi, we're back again. Let's remind you, those Earth Day 1990 official t-shirts are going fast. Get them quick over by the reflecting pool.
Lost and Found. The Lost and Found is right next to the medical tent. The red and white striped tent off to my right, your left. Anyone who has lost any adults or wallets or keys or anything, please go there.
We're all having fun today, but we must be reminded we got to recycle our trash. We have trash bins that are marked appropriately for aluminum, for bottles, for glass, etc. Trash your trash appropriately.
Please, those of you who are in the front near the stage, don't step on the tulips. We have snow fencing here to protect the plants. This is Earth Day, not Trample Day. Please, please respect the plants, respect the tulips, stay away from the snow fence.
Hey, I need that podium.
I got it. We got it.
All of you have received the green pledge. The monitors and the red t-shirts are now walking around with pencils for you to fill out your green pledge and your Clean Air Act postcards. We have postcards on the Clean Air Act and the green pledge. Please take the pledge, fill out the postcard. The red monitored t-shirts have pencils and have the pledges. We need everyone's support. The people in this building need to hear from you. Do you want clean air? Do you want clean water? Do you want clean food? Then take the pledge. Please give the pledge, fill it out now, pass the pencil to your neighbor, and pass the cards to the people in the red shirts. What a terrific day. Everybody here deserves a round of applause for being here, for standing up for the environment. We thank you all for making this statement. the sun has shone on this Earth Day. Let it mark the beginning of the green decade.
Present for time. We want to remind you again about your local activists. We want you to know that local activists are working on two important projects today to help you learn more and to show you how you can get involved. An Eco Issues survey and an Earth Day 1990 commemorative journals and resource guide. Fill out the survey, buy the guide. Thank you.
We're going to have some music here in a minute, but first, please fill out the pledge. Get ready to dance, get ready to jive. We're going to have a good time today, but before we have a good time, please fill out the pledge. It is a beautiful day. We thank you all so much for being here. The United States Capitol Police have let us know that they think there are as many as 200,000 people here on the Capitol grounds alone. All 200,000 of you, thank you. The 150 to 200,000 people who are across the street on the Park Service grounds, we thank you too. Remember, please, that we're trying to get 95% of everything that is left by this event in the recycling program. We have recycling containers for cans, we have recycling containers for bottles, and we have separate barrels for trash. We're going to clean it all out. When this program is over with, we'd like to get the first 1,000 people to volunteer to become a human vacuum cleaner. We're going to crawl on our hands and knees across the Capitol grounds, pick up everything that's left, no Pop-Tops, no cigarette butts, nothing left. Please respect the earth, use the recycling containers.
Stretch it out some more. We want to thank some people who made some contributions today. We have a caterer, we have plans. So many people have contributed to help make this so successful. Give them all a round of applause. I don't know what else to say.
We also should recognize the two people who are most responsible for this show, putting it all together, Tom Campbell and Paige Gardner. But before we recognize them, I just want to let all of you know that there are literally several thousand people who have been working day and night in the Washington area to put on this event. It is the single largest local event that has ever been held in the city of Washington. Usually, when we have events in Washington, people come from New York and Boston and Philadelphia and Baltimore. This is just us here, and there is a huge number of us, and we appreciate all that you have said and done by being here today. Thank you very much.
You got it? Go. Please welcome John Mollo on percussion, Branford Marcellus, and Bruce Hornsby.
ship set sail, the crew looked for guidance in the bottom of an empty glass. Then the captain said, pour me another ride. Then the water turned black as that cold winter's night. Good seed don't grow on the barren ground. Good things don't come along as you sit dreaming. Oh, good seed don't grow on the barren ground. Say everything fades away, there you are, still around. Oh, what do you do? Oh, where we go? And the sons and the daughters got diamonds and gold. They were given a land where strong roots never take hold. Good seed don't grow on the barren ground. Good things don't come along as you just sit dreaming on. Good seed don't grow on the barren ground. Say everything fades away, there you are still around. Oh, where you gonna go? Oh, on the barren ground. Oh, what you gonna do? Where you gonna go?
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'd like to bring up Mr. John Molo, one of the range from McLean, Virginia, Mr. John Molo. That last song was a song that my brother and I wrote called The Barren Ground, inspired by some pretty uninspiring events that happened in the last couple of years. Prince William Sound. And the rainforest problem. This is a song that we also wrote really inspired by something closer to home. We're from southeastern Virginia, and with the Chesapeake Bay problem, all those problems made us write this song. There's a man working in a field, sees the rain and it's burning. He's saying it can't be real. And to see the
Too many leaders let them get their way. Well, they close their eyes and they let it all out into the bay. And they give it up another day. Look down and you won't know. Look down and you open door. Look down and you won't know. We see what's going on in the air around you. See what's going on in the air around you. See what's going on in the world around you.
Thank you very much. Branford Marsalis. Winging it with me.